If you can break the chains of your mind and start following your heart, you're going to change your entire life, from your finances to your friendships to your relationships to your mental health. I mean, everything. And I want to share with you today how to follow your heart, break the chains of your mind, and why it's such a huge impact in my life and how I realized this recently. And by the way, I look like this today. This is not a clickbait. This is a self-development channel, okay? We're here to be our best versions of ourselves, and I paint as I talk. But the reason I'm dressed outrageously ridiculous today is exactly the topic of this video. It's that when you do the stuff that makes you giggle, and I first realized this because I went to a seminar online by this woman named Julie Murphy, and she's an amazing financial advisor, and she basically said when you change your energy, when you do the stuff that makes you giggle, your entire life will change. So I was like, what if I dress outrageous? Because this made me giggle. And so the point of this video is all about following your heart, how to break the chains of your mind, and how to not take life so seriously, because at the end of the day, if you think about this, right, you are living this one life. You have one existence on this planet Earth, and you're not going to be on this earth forever. So you want to make sure that you maximize the time that you are here. This earth, we are so programmed and so conditioned to follow our brains and follow our minds, and truly the only thing imprisoning you, the only thing holding you back from living your best life, manifesting the relationships you want, the job you want, is literally your own mind. Because trust me too on this one, you don't want to do something just for the end result. You don't want to have the money just for the money. You want to have it in a way that's going to be in alignment with your soul, because that's the only way to be fulfilled and happy. And that starts with your heart. It's following your inner child. And as Julie Murphy said, it's doing the stuff that makes you giggle. And you know, it's not always going to feel comfortable. You're not always going to feel on board with it. Sometimes you will feel like, what am I doing? This is crazy. But please do, go be more crazy. Has any good idea on this earth been invented by someone who's normal? Has any normal person made any significant contributions, I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, to this earth? Not really. Most of the contributions to this earth, like the major inventions, were made by people who were crazy, or they were labeled crazy at first until they were made genius. Right? So even if you think that what you're doing is crazy, whatever, listen, it's not that big of a deal, okay? I bet you right now, I could bet you that it's all in your head. I could bet you that whatever the thing you're thinking about, it's not that big of a deal. No one's gonna care if I'm painting a freaking lingerie top, shorts that don't button up because I'm not as skinny as I used to be anymore, and actually this is just more comfortable, and heels, home alone, because like, who cares? No one's gonna care about that. You know, we're all gonna be on this earth for a time period, and then we're gone. And no one's gonna remember you. No one's gonna care. It's not gonna matter, okay? You're not that significant, and this is beautiful. I am not that significant either. And this is so beautiful because you can lighten up on yourself. You can release the importance of the stuff that you believe matters, and just start following your heart. Start tuning into yourself and asking, what would make me happy? What would make me smile? What would add to my day? Because every time you're happy, you're spreading this joy. It's so infectious, okay? It's so infectious. And so the way you break the chains of your mind is by first choosing to understand that it's all in your head. Sit with this for a second. Are the fears that you have, are the worries that you have actually real? And are they really that important? Is it really that big of a deal? What you wear, how you look, what you do, what you say, if you fail, if you win, is it really that big of a deal? And if you feel like it is, it's because probably you have certain definitions in your brain ingrained by society or other people about what it means to be normal. Like, why do you even want to be normal? Think about it. If every single person on earth was normal, we were all the same, if we all looked the same, if we all sounded the same, if we were all always normal, like, how boring would it be? Everything would be so robotic, everything would be so plain and so boring and so monotonous that you would be like, why am I here? It's so predictable, it's so structured that there's no more spontaneity, there's no more fun. You know, we're not machines, and we're not here to live in a world that's machine-like. because spontaneity and breaking out of your comfort zone and doing the stuff that, I'm gonna say again, makes you giggle, makes you happy, lights your soul and heart on fire, that's what makes the world. That's what adds to the entirety of existence. And you know what? You might say, yes, I look absolutely ridiculous right now, being home by myself and painting in heels. But you know what? I'm comfortable, okay? And I don't like to be normal anymore. Being normal is boring. I am bored. I want to go do fun, outrageous things because, again, you are on earth one time and you want to make sure you capitalize on this experience. You want to make sure that you make the most out of it and don't spend it living in your head, because again, when you are like 80 or 90, you're not gonna look back being like, oh my God, I was safe, I survived, I did everything by the book. But what is your memory bank? Are you happy? Did you nourish and take care of your inner child? What does your heart want? Your heart is frequently just like your inner child, you know? So what did you enjoy as a kid? Like, what did you like doing that maybe you could start doing more of? What did you enjoy doing that maybe you stopped doing because life got in the way? And it doesn't have to be that, you know, all of a sudden you change your entire life, you quit your job, you start a new job, and you become completely unhinged and reckless, like some people that do that, and it's an option. But you know, you can be, just start with little things. Start doing one thing at a time, because it's something that your mind is not going to be on board with. You know, you're not going to feel comfortable, you're not going to feel happy, but truly the way you break out of that, the way you release your brain, is to understand that this is not real. It feels real to you. This life feels real to you, but it's not real in the way you think of it. The experience of this is real, yes, but you know, we get so entangled with the importance of everything that we forget the fact that none of this is gonna matter in 5 years, in 6 years, in 7 years. It's not gonna matter, and people are gonna forget about you. So it doesn't matter anything except having the best present moment, the best experience you can have. And of course, I'm not talking about, you know, doing harm to anybody else. I'm speaking about just having more fun and doing things in a light-hearted way, and just lightening up on yourself and the importance you place on things. Just release it, let it go. It's not that big of a deal, okay? No one's gonna care. It's just about what you want to do, the kind of experience you want to have, the kind of things you want to make sure you accomplish while you are still on this earth. Because again, you know, you can live your life living from your head if you're comfortable like that. But do you want to be comfortable, or do you want to be happy? And what's more important to you? Is it more important for you to be happy and live your best life, or is it more important to you to make someone else happy? Because sometimes also we are in our heads because we want to make other people happy. We're not even concerned with ourselves, we're literally concerned with other people. And that's the biggest block that I think you have to break through. So you have to start validating yourself, which, by the way, if you want more information on that, watch my previous 2 videos on self-validation, because chances are that if you are in your head, you're not validating yourself, and that's why you're not having fun. That's why you're not having the best life, and that's why maybe even the stuff that you believe you would enjoy, you're judging. And I can attest to this too. Like, sometimes we literally judge the stuff that we think we'll enjoy because we think that it's not appropriate in accordance to the values of other people. But it's just like, other people don't get to decide what values you live by. You get to decide what values you live by. And because of that, you have to learn to validate yourself and understand that your joy is your birthright. It's important. You're here to have fun. You're here to be happy. You're not here to be miserable. Yes, sometimes we have to be practical. Don't come at me being like, but I have a job, I have to work. Yes, but outside of that job, what are you doing? Are you living your life? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you prioritizing your heart, or are you letting everyone else's opinions have a say in what is and is not appropriate to do? So that's really what it comes down to, you know? What are you defining your compass by? What are you making your decisions by? What are your values also? Like, what do you value? Because I think when we live in our heads, most of the time we have subconscious values that maybe don't align with what we consciously want. So what I mean is that when you look at your value systems, right, you want to ask yourself, what is the most important thing to you right now? when you make your decisions, when you go out, when you see people, when you do things, when you make decisions of following your heart, being lighthearted versus being controlling or stern or serious, what do you value? Do you value approval of other people? Do you value maintaining a certain self-image? Do you value fitting in subconsciously? Maybe you would much prefer to value being free and expressing yourself. Maybe we would much rather prefer to value being able to authentically express your desires, your wants and needs, and not caring what everyone else thinks. It's a matter of your values, shifting your identity and shifting the things that you put on a forefront of your decision making, because most of the decisions that we make, consciously or not, they come from the things that we prioritize, we see as important, and the things that we value. And it's not always conscious. Again, a lot of the stuff that you might think that you are self-sabotaging or whatever, it's because you have definitions in here and you have predetermined set of values by your family, by your society, by whoever, whatever, that kind of prevent you from being your true self, you know? So another thing is like, how I personally broke through with my brain is, you know, for me, it was such a huge process. I became someone else. It was a process. And for me, the way it happened, and I don't want you to have to go through this, which is why I am making this video. So hopefully you can wake up before life has to wake you up, because for me, life woke me up. And the way it happened was that I just reached a breaking point. You know, I reached a point where nothing mattered. I was like, I don't care what happens. I don't care if I'm on this earth. I just don't care anymore. Nothing matters. Nothing means anything. And from that place, I don't want to say I was spiraling, but I kind of just went with, you know what, might as well just follow my gut in each and every moment. And as a result of that, I came to the other side and I was like, just so happy. I just found myself enjoying life. I found myself having fun. I found myself laughing. And I have not laughed as much as I have laughed in the last like couple weeks, probably in the last several years, or maybe a year at least. Like, I just wasn't having fun because everything was so important. Everything was such a big deal. Everything had to have importance and meaning, and it was not acceptable because society, because people, because I have to be right, because I have to appear a certain way. And then I just decided to throw that all out the window, because again, we don't know how long we have on earth, and we take this so for granted. We take it so for granted. And another thing is like what I realized today, because I was doing a meditation, and I realized that having joy, having happiness, excitement, you know, it's about being in the present moment and not being stuck in your past. Because sometimes, and I don't know if this is true for you, if you're stuck in your head, if you're stuck in your past, you are wallowing in that. And there can be a certain heaviness that comes from being in your head and thinking about your past, thinking about the shit that happened. And we've all been through it. I'm not saying that the stuff that you've been through doesn't matter and you can just forget about it, because I know we've all been through it. We've all been through stuff. It's not about have you been through stuff. It's about, are you going to keep reliving it again and again and again by continually thinking about it? Or will you say, okay, it happened. What can I learn from this? And once you learn it, just forget about it and be present, because you cannot fully enjoy life unless you are in the present moment. If you look at kids, right, like when they're being the most joyous, and you have your inner child. So by the way, this data is accessible to everybody, but I'm going to use the kids as an example. When you look at kids, right, when they're the most joyous, they're just present to the moment. They're not thinking about what happened. They're not thinking about what's going to happen. They're just enjoying whatever is in front of them. And that is how we reach that state that is like the most lighthearted, having fun. And you know, sometimes it will feel cringeworthy and your brain is not going to be on board. But if you're willing to sit with that cringeworthiness for a minute, if you're willing to look at it and say, I see it, but it's okay, because I want to do this thing anyways, because I want to have fun. And it might feel cringy at first, but once you start having fun, once you become present, you forget the cringe. That's the funny thing. It's like you only feel cringy when you're in your head and you're not in your body and you're not fully immersed in the experience. When you get immersed in the experience, you forget the cringe. You're just having fun. So it's about making those choices each and every moment. And I know a lot of what I say might be like, oh, just make the choice, but It really is what that is. It's just about sitting with yourself and thinking, okay, what am I experiencing? What would I much rather prefer to experience? And how can I go to that, and how can I get to that level from where I am? Like, what kind of decisions do I have to make? What kind of person do I have to become in order for me to have the experience that I would much prefer to have, because you would not be living the life you're living if you didn't choose it on some level. Like, we all create our life, and even if you didn't choose all of it, you're choosing the meaning that you are giving it, and you can always recreate it. And I'm not saying this like, oh my God, like you chose all the hardships. Things happen, okay? I know, because I've also had things happen. But I also know that you can't live your life being stuck in that. You can't live your life in the past, because every time you think about it, every time you wallow in it, every time you're like trying to numb it and forget about something that happened years ago, you're still living in that. But you're only recreating it in here. The best way to do it, and I learned, and that's the only reason I'm actually still fully sane, by the way, is because when something happens, I don't stay stuck in it. When something happens, I say, okay, this happened. Sometimes I have to cry, sometimes I have to process, sometimes you have to be in that emotion for a while, but don't let yourself be in it for too long. Have your process, feel your feelings, and then say, okay, what can I learn from this? And once, this is something that I do that I find super helpful, and it helps me to move past difficult situations, get out of my head, back into my heart, and back into enjoying life. Because it's like, when something happens, okay, validate it first. It happened, it must have happened for a reason. If there was no reason for this to happen, it just would not have happened, right? So okay, it happened. I may not prefer it, I may not like it, I may be like, oh my God, the fuck happened? But it happened. So how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? This is my favorite thing, is like, how can I grow from this? How can I become better as a result of this experience? And it's not always easy. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort, but when I do this, every time I say, how can I grow from this? I find my lessons, I find my blessings, and sometimes you ask yourself, what kind of actions do you have to take going forward? Do you have to set a boundary? Do you have to express yourself? Do you have to make sure that this never happens again? So do you have to take some, oops, I'm getting paint on my hands. Do you have to take some actions that will ensure this never happens again, right? So again, it's the same. How can you learn from this? How can you become better from this? Once you do that, what you notice next is that you can choose to simply move on from the experience and be grateful for the lessons, be grateful for the blessings. That does not mean allow the same thing to happen again. Definitely have your boundaries, okay? But once you can say, okay, I learned from this, I moved on, take the lesson. And once you have that lesson, it will allow you to move past the experience in a much more graceful way, because sometimes the things that happen, especially if they are repetitive, you're only having the same feelings and the same experiences because they're trying to teach you something. Once you learn that lesson, once you can extract the purpose that this is happening, because again, if it did not have a reason to happen, it would not be happening. So once you can extract the reason this is happening, which by the way, sometimes the lesson is just, this is not what I want, okay? This is not what I want. Sometimes that's just the lesson. But once you extract the reason this is happening, you can then say, okay, I see it, I validate it, and you move on. You focus on the future. You keep dreaming the dream. You keep focusing on moving forward. What do you want to build moving forward? What kind of life do you want to create going forward? Because if you're living in your past, please note, what you are focused on, you're going to create. What is in your brain, where you put your focus is what you're creating moving forward. So if you keep living in your past, you're just creating more of it. So if you want to forget about it and actually let go of the stuff that is not good, start focusing on where do you want to go next? What do you want to create next? How can you break out of this? What are the next steps? Because you are here now. You are here now with your present circumstances, with everything that you are, with everything that has happened. You are here now, right? This is all there is. All there is your present situation. All there is what you have in this moment. Your current resources, your current body, your current state. You are where you are right now. What has happened may have led you here, yes, but that doesn't change the fact that you are where you are. So from where you are, what can you do going forward? Can you change your energy? Can you change your actions? Can you change your attitude? Can you change your whatever? Because that's the only way you're ever going to get out of that. That's the only way you're ever going to break your mind, get out of your mind and into your heart, is when you acknowledge that you are where you are and be focused on that, because that's the only thing that exists. You can only get where you're trying to get if you first understand the present location that you are. It's like Google Maps, right? How are you trying to get somewhere else if you're stuck on the fact that the route you took so far has been muddy and uncomfortable and bumpy? Okay, the road has been bumpy. I get it. It sucks. The road has been unpleasant. I get it. It sucks. You maybe took the wrong turn. Maybe you lost course. I get it. It sucks. But you are where you are. So Google Maps yourself into the next situation you want to go. Where are you trying to go next? Are you going to keep focusing and looking back into the rear view mirror of your car driving this life and focusing on what has happened? Are there any cars behind you? Are they still there? Where did you come from? How was the road back there? Or are you actually going to focus on where you're going next? Do you drive your life? Do you drive your car of your life by looking into the rear view mirror and focusing on all the stuff that has happened in the past? I get it. The road sucked, okay? There's a better road ahead. And have faith in that. Have faith in a better road ahead. Have faith in a better road that starts with you living in your heart, and you get to create that road. You get to choose the road you go on next. But you can only do that once you stop looking into the rear view mirror or into your past. It's gone. It's over. So stop looking at it. Stop admiring it. Stop giving it energy, because it's over. And you get to create your next road. You get to choose your next path. And when you choose it from your heart, when you start living in your joy and that space of lightheartedness and happiness and letting your inner child come out and play, you're raising your energy, you're raising your vibration, and as a result, you're going to be a match to better people, better situations, more money. All of that will follow. But you will only be able to see the results and a way in which it shows up for you if you take the steps of actually choosing to let go of the past, learn the lessons. If you were driving in the past in your life, the road has been bumpy, you made some wrong turns, learn from it. Why was it bumpy? Why did I take that road? How can I avoid such roads going forward? And then just keep focusing on driving forward. Keep focusing on living the life that you want to live. Keep focusing on building your dream, building the reality that will give you the ultimate most fulfillment, because really that's the only thing that there is just driving forward, because that's the only thing that exists. No matter how much you want to look back, no matter how much you want to go back and recreate the same road, the same scenery that you drove by it already. So either figure out how you can create more of it in the future, but just know it's going to look a little bit different, probably, maybe even better. Sometimes things will just be better, okay? It's not that things have ended and it's never going to be good again, the same. Maybe it ended and it's been great, but where life is taking you next, it's just so much better. It's 1,000 times better. You don't even know. You don't even know how good life is going to get. But you have to trust it first, and just keep driving, going forward, okay? No more peeking at the rear view mirror, okay? We're done here, okay? With that said, I'm going to conclude this video here because I can talk for a while. If you're still watching, thank you so much for being here, sending you lots of love. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.